Do not move to Greenville, South Carolina if any of these 7 items bother you. Yeah, Greenville, South Carolina makes about every top 10 list there is, but just like any other city, Greenville, South Carolina is not perfect. I've lived here for over 40 years and absolutely love Greenville, South Carolina. Not everyone on the internet agrees. Let's go through 7 reasons on why Greenville, South Carolina is not the place for you. And then stay tuned to the end and we'll see something unexpected. Starting with number 1. 420 Eastwood says too few direct flights for me. Dale J42 says pain in the butt to get a direct flight. You're likely changing in Atlanta or Charlotte. So to both these users' point, there are not a lot of direct flights out of Greenville, South Carolina. If you're flying direct, you are most likely flying to either Atlanta, to Charlotte, and then connect to wherever you're going. GSP, great airport, but it's a tiny little airport. So there is a lack of direct flights. That is true. On to number 2. Russ Knight says, I would have to say that July and August heat and humidity, it didn't bother me as much when I was younger. I'm 69 now. I try to stay in air-conditioned spaces as much as humanly possible during these 2 months. Well, Russ, I'm right there with you. July and August, summertime in Greenville, South Carolina, it can get very hot. August average temperatures are over 90 degrees for the high, and that's not a dry heat. That is also with 50 to 70% humidity. So in July and August, we see excessive days with a heat index over 100 degrees. So if you are looking for somewhere that is not hot in the summer, Greenville, South Carolina, it's not your place. Let's talk about number 3. Wendy Blackwood says the roads. I've lived in a couple of other states and traveled through the entire East Coast throughout my life, and I can't recall any of the other states' roads being as bad as ours. Now, Wendy's got a point. South Carolina roads, Greenville roads, they are not the best. They historically and statistically get ranked at the bottom of the list when it comes to road quality throughout the nation. So if you're gonna move to Greenville, South Carolina, make sure your car is in order and be prepared to get that alignment on your car at least once a year. Is Greenville, South Carolina really just an average city? Timmy-Rosebud says extremely mid-city. Well, Timmy, I don't know if we're a mid-city, but we are not a big town. We are smashed right in between Charlotte and Atlanta. So yeah, we have enough to do, right? We are also not a big, giant, thriving city all the time. Some people love and some people don't like. So if you're looking for a mid-city, Greenville, South Carolina is the place to be. If you are not looking for a mid-city, maybe look elsewhere. It's Greenville, South Carolina's infrastructure or lack thereof. Egal 1746 says, humidity and infrastructure were my biggest complaints. The city was a town that grew faster than they planned, and you could tell. So, to her point, has Greenville, South Carolina grown?
A little too fast?
Possibly. Are the roads a little too crowded in some places? Yes. Are the roads awful in some places? For sure. Do we have a mass public transit system? No. Do we need one? Would it be helpful? Possibly yes. So, to their point, Greenville, South Carolina more than likely has grown a little bit too fast, too soon, and does lack some of the infrastructure that some major cities do have currently. See what you think on the next one. User says, many parents in the area send their kids to private schools, though, as the public schools are not that great at all. Are the public schools truly good in Greenville, South Carolina? Well, it depends on who you ask and who is sending their kids where. But there are a lot of parents in Greenville, South Carolina that will send their kids to public school for elementary school, as well as for high school, but choose to send their kids elsewhere, middle school. So you make the decision. Does that mean that our public schools are not that great? Maybe, maybe not. On to number 7. Is Greenville, South Carolina downtown really tiny compared to a big city? For sure. Compared to a small city, not average. But this user says the downtown is pretty tiny comparatively. So my guess is he's comparing it to a big city, Greenville, South Carolina, like a mid-city. So if you are looking to spend an entire day walking the streets of downtown, shopping the streets of downtown, Greenville, South Carolina is not for you. If you're looking for a downtown, it's a little smaller town feel to it. You can go down and hang out for a couple hours. A few parks could be for you. But to this user's point, Greenville, South Carolina's downtown does not take up a giant amount of space, and it is fairly small. So these are a few things that people tend to not like about Greenville, South Carolina. But here's something that I want to share with you. I actually did not read the full reviews here. If you look at the full picture, many people still love Greenville, South Carolina. User FNKTIO, after talking about the downtown being pretty tiny comparatively, actually says, but the park is pretty awesome. And yes, Cleveland Park, Unity Park, Legacy Park, Falls Park, there are so many parks in Greenville, South Carolina. They are wonderful. Rosebud talks about it being extremely mid-city, but reading to the end of her review, she says, comfortable place to live and somewhat affordable. And it is. Greenville, South Carolina always makes the list one of the most affordable places to live, cost of living, what you can get, bang for your buck, stuff. And Russ Knight, who talks about the heat and humidity, also says, living in South Carolina is still well worth it for me, even with this terrible heat. I do not want to move anywhere else. So even with the crazy heat, guess what? We still get a wonderful spring, wonderful fall, and a winter. It may have us see a little bit of snowfall, but not too much. And then Wendy Blackwood, who talks about the roads. Yes, the roads are awful, but at the end of the day, at the end of a review, she says, anyway, I love it here. It's my home, and I am, for the most part, proud of it. After all, Greenville, South Carolina makes top 10 lists for some reason. And if you're still thinking about making the move to Greenville, South Carolina, why not ask someone that just made the move? Oh wait, you don't know anyone that just made the move to Greenville, South Carolina? Check out this video here where we talk to people who just made the move, how they feel about making the move to Greenville, South Carolina.